Tonight, new help in the battle against devastating wildfires.
I feel extremely proud and happy to see the world stepping up and joining the effort.
Where in Canada and around the globe, fire crews are coming from to bolster the fight. Plus, a nightmarish scene in the City of Angels as a car smashes into a crowd.
Right now, we are investigating this as an intentional act.
What led up to the frightening incident, and what happened after bystanders dragged the suspect from the vehicle. And the sweet solution to that undeniable ice cream craving.
Everybody that comes by is just like in love with it, really, in love with the idea.
What inspired a Canadian entrepreneur to run an ice cream shop in a pretty unconventional place.
CTV National News with Heather Butts. Reporting tonight, John Venevalley Rao.
Good evening. As Saskatchewan continues to battle through one of its worst ever wildfire seasons, help has been coming from across the world and from around the country. Today, firefighters from Nova Scotia headed off to join the fight, with 51 active fires still burning and the conditions challenging and dangerous. CTV's Paul Hollingsworth leads us off.
When Cody Wilkins first saw these wildfires burning out of control, he said to himself,
I think that we need to be out there and help.
Wilkins works for Nova Scotia's Department of Natural Resources. He's one of 20 firefighters who are off to Saskatchewan. Their training has prepared them to meet the challenge of this moment.
Definitely. Yeah, this is fulfilling. It's fills you with pride to help out.
They all know battling as many as 51 active fires will be dangerous.
You're always going in with caution, and safety is our main goal, so we try not to put ourselves in anything too dangerous.
This is the second time this year Nova Scotia has sent firefighters to help with the wildfires in Saskatchewan.
Should be there for 2 weeks.
They'll be living in tents and working long, hazardous hours. Nova Scotia's contribution to fighting the wildfires is part of a greater team effort.
This is all coordinated through the Canadian Interagency Forest Fire Centre in Winnipeg.
An urgent call is out asking for help. Firefighters from other Canadian provinces, along with Mexico and Australia, are also battling these fires.
It's actually becoming an international effort the last few years. We're doing our best as a country to come together.
I feel extremely proud and happy to see the world stepping up and joining the effort.
An effort that includes 20 brave Nova Scotia firefighters who are putting themselves in danger while battling flames more than 4,000 kilometers from home. Paul Hollingsworth, CTV News, Halifax.
The wildfires have damaged or destroyed hundreds of structures, including homes. And while many people have insurance coverage, some don't have enough or none at all. And uninsured losses are piling up. With more on that, here's Allison Bamford.
This is what Tessa Santana calls glamping.
Look at that.
Tight quarters, but every inch of space is packed with purpose.
It feels like an extended camping trip. However, then when reality does hit you and you're like, you know what, this is our home. You know, we don't really know where we're going. It was just shooting flames.
Wildfires decimated the Santana's acreage just north of La Ronge and killed most of their animals. They've been living here 3 hours south at this campground for the last month and a half. The home where they raised their children and grandchildren was uninsured.
Last year we weren't in a good place. Like I said, it was between feeding your family or buying insurance. So, you know, what do?
Santana's not alone. Some Saskatchewan insurance brokers told us they've received countless calls from uninsured and underinsured clients who've lost property in the wildfires. A rule of thumb known as the insurance gap suggests that for every $1 of insured losses, there are $3 to $4 of uninsured losses borne by homeowners, businesses, and governments.
For governments, that's money coming out of budgets for hospitals, schools, infrastructure development. For businesses, that's money coming out of budgets for business expansion, equipment upgrades, employee compensation.
And for uninsured homeowners like Santana,
It's basically having to build our whole life again.
they don't know where they'll end up, likely further south, closer to family, and hopefully before the snow flies. Wherever they call home next, insurance will be a top priority. But if she had to do it all over again, she would.
If it ever came down to it again, feeding my family or buying insurance, every time I'm going to feed my family.
A decision she hopes she never has to make again. Allison Bamford, CTV News, Saskatoon.
Police in Los Angeles say a driver appears to have intentionally rammed his car into a crowd outside of a nightclub.
That individual had left an establishment, had driven away northbound, made a U-turn, jumped a curve, and drove on the sidewalk, striking a number of individuals that were either waiting for their vehicles because that club had just let out.
This incident has left 7 people in critical condition. At least 30 others were injured. Reportedly, the driver had been kicked out of the club before being disruptive. According to police, after the crash, he was pulled out of the car by angry bystanders and was shot. The driver was taken to hospital. Police are still on the hunt for the shooter. Authorities in Belgium are investigating the death of a 35-year-old Canadian woman who became ill at the Tomorrowland Music Festival. Local reports say she got sick on the grounds, received first aid, and was taken to hospital where she later died. Global Affairs Canada says it is aware of her death and are working with local authorities. In other news, a growing number of Canadians are voicing their frustrations over issues and delays contacting the Canada Revenue Agency. As CTV's Jeremy Sharon reports, in many cases, the issues are keeping people from accessing money that they're owed.
Locked out of accounts, struggling to get a hold of someone who can help, countless Canadians are growing increasingly frustrated over unresolved issues with the Canada Revenue Agency.
This year it's terrible.
Montrealer Dimitri Youtsis says he filed his taxes in February and receives his return quarterly, but never got an expected payment on the 5th of July. Now he can't access his account or reach an agent on the phone to help him, repeatedly stuck in a loop on the CRA's automated messaging system.
This year just no service. I can say it 1 star, 2 star, just 0 star because no services.
It was incredibly frustrating and unnecessary.
Chris Ellis from west of Ottawa says he was locked out of his account after changing his direct deposit information with the CRA triggered a security alert. He had the same issue trying to contact someone.
I just kept calling, and I reached out to my accountant. I said, I can't get through. I'm freaking out here. My account's locked out. I can't get a hold of anybody. About a month later, I finally got a message that said, you're in the queue for an agent. I thought, wow. So that was just so painful, just to wait a month.
But Ellis still hasn't received his return nearly 4 months after he says he filed his taxes. And their stories far from unique. CTV News asked Canadians to reach out about their experiences with the CRA and received hundreds of responses, many sharing similar stories. I have been unable to reach a human at the CRA for weeks. This failure of CRA is causing me extreme stress, worry, and I'm losing a lot of sleep. In a statement to CTV News, a spokesperson for the CRA said the agency encourages people to use online self-service tools, adding we regret the inconvenience this situation may cause and are actively working to continuously improve both our phone and digital services.
The delays in communication complaints come as Prime Minister Mark Carney has asked government departments to find their own internal savings by August ahead of a planned fall budget. Jeremy Sharon, CTV News, Ottawa.
Canada Post employees are set to vote on Monday on the Crown Corporation's latest contract offer, but the union is urging its members to reject it.
We're trying to show our members that Canada Post is the problem.
After more than a year and a half of negotiating, Canada Post and its 55,000 unionized workers remain at an impasse. This latest offer includes a wage hike, better pensions, and hiring more part-time workers. The federal government is coming under fire tonight for its stance on limiting the number of foreign workers being allowed into the country. A group of Quebec businesses is launching a multi-million-dollar lawsuit against Ottawa, saying they'll face dire consequences if it continues with the plan. With more, here's CTV's Stéphane Giroux.
Quebec businesses that make everything from steel products to winter jackets and airplane parts say temporary foreign workers are essential to stay afloat. But now that Ottawa is pushing to reduce the number of permits it issues, employers are upset.
The federal government from 2021 to 2024 has said to those enterprise, you can count on foreign workers as much as you like. And all of a sudden, they decided to flip the table and say, well, forget about that. I mean, we're changing the rules.
Bérard is representing 23 Quebec companies who launched a $300 million lawsuit against the federal government to cover their losses.
The federal government obviously is killing, some very important, vital part of our economy.
The changes were put in place after growing pressure from Quebec and some conservative organizations who argue Canada can't sustain such massive temporary immigration.
300,000 additional people. So of course it has a major impact on services.
But Quebec business groups say restricting the number of temporary workers means they can't fill vacant positions, which affects their output and may even force some of them out of business.
These companies either have to slow down production, refuse contracts, and in certain cases, they will even close down certain shifts. We can think of weekend shifts, night shifts, because we can't find the workers that we need.
No one from the federal government was available to comment on the lawsuit today. But the businesses say it's an urgent matter because with each passing month, they're losing money and the ability for stability if they don't have the workers to do the jobs. Stéphane Giroux, CTV News.
A man in New York has now died after a shocking incident that saw him get violently pulled into an MRI machine. It happened at a Long Island clinic on Wednesday. The 61-year-old was wearing a 20-pound metal weightlifting chain when he entered an MRI room while a scan was still in progress. The device's powerful magnet yanked him into the machine, which resulted in him having several heart attacks. At least 32 people were killed by Israeli gunfire while on their way to an aid distribution site. That is according to the Gaza Health Ministry and witnesses. The Israeli military, though, says it had fired warning shots at suspects approaching its troops near a distribution site that was not active at the time. And more than 30 people are dead after a tourist boat capsized in Vietnam. They were on a sightseeing trip when strong winds apparently flipped the vessel during an unexpected thunderstorm. 53 people were on board. At least 11 were rescued, while some remain listed as missing. There is more fallout tonight from that viral concert moment involving the CEO of tech company Astronomer. He has now resigned from his job after being caught with a woman on the kiss cam at a Coldplay concert. Andy Byron, who is married, was caught as he embraced the company's head of HR. Astronomer confirms Byron has tendered his resignation and the board of directors has accepted. The kiss cam moment took the internet by storm, garnering millions of views and spawning thousands of memes across social media. Coming up, going green in a big way.
It's a new world for Torontonians to explore.
What it took to turn an abandoned urban space into a massive new park. Plus, a dubious distinction for one province. Which region just got named the least happiest in Canada? A new report shows grocery prices continued to climb last month faster than inflation. This as more people changed their shopping habits. CTV's Josh Morano explains.
Colleen Russell is bagging them, by the bushel at the Carp Farmers Market.
I just bought some chicken breasts from a lovely farmer, and now we're looking for something to go with it.
For shoppers, including Russell, farmers markets have become a go-to for their groceries.
I'd much rather spend money locally than at a grocery store because it's so expensive there now. There's not any deals to be had.
Lately, vendors at Carp Farmers Market say they have seen more volume than in years past.
We've definitely seen more consistent higher numbers here, and I do attribute that somewhat to not just the increase in pricing in the grocery store, but also the overall desire to support local.
While prices are higher, some say their spending is on par with what they dish out at a grocery store. Loblaws releasing their food inflation report stating in June, food prices in Canada rose by 2.8% compared to last year. Coffee, cocoa, and beef all saw significant increases, with tariffs a major factor in the rise in price.
The dollar is less of a factor. In December, we were expecting food inflation to be anywhere between 3 to 5%. As we are now into July, we are expecting food inflation to end this year at around 3%.
But some don't seem to mind.
What I want, I take. I don't worry about the price.
For Russell, she says she'll pay a little extra for her produce because she knows her money is staying in Canada. Josh Morano, CTV News.
Nearly 20 years in the making, a new park has opened in Toronto. What was once a wasteland on the waterfront has now been turned into an ecological wonderland. The redevelopment coming at a time when green spaces are dwindling in Canada's urban centres. Here's CTV's Kamal Karamali.
This new Toronto park making a big splash on its first day. Not just because of the high-flying features.
It was really fun.
Or the captivating indigenous structures.
I like how it's really interactive.
But because of the monumental transformation it represents in the heart of the city.
It's a new world for Torontonians to explore.
Bidasagay Park, part of Toronto's massive $1.5 billion redevelopment of its Portland's waterfront area. The area has a history of heavy pollution and contamination, but for the past 2 decades, it's been cleaned up. Half-vacant warehouses and empty lots now transformed into a vast and luscious green space with housing infrastructure to come. The effort even included moving the mouth of the Don River to protect the lands from flooding.
All of this is being done to help shoreline erosion, flood protection, and to create developable land down here so the parcels themselves are protected.
The redevelopment of these lands, the opening of this park, coming at a pivotal moment, a battle that's getting more intense between diminishing green spaces in Canada and growing urban centers. Statistics Canada data shows major cities across the country have lost green spaces in the past 20 years. Toronto losing nearly 11%, but Calgary topping the chart, losing 20% of its urban greenery.
We can't afford to lose any more. If you think of Southern Ontario, we've lost about 85% of our natural wetlands.
While there might be fear time is running out, there's still a glimmer of hope that this green space, now rooted into the center of Canada's biggest city, will spark a change for the rest of the country. Kamal Karamali, CTV News, Toronto.
Well, still ahead, how happy are Canadians? Find out which province tops the list and which one came in last in a new happiness poll. A new survey is challenging Prince Edward Island's picture-perfect reputation, revealing Islanders are the least happy in the nation. But as CTV's Maria Saru tells us, that finding has its skeptics.
You wouldn't guess it from the boardwalk chatter or the smiles in bloom. But this is the least happy place in Canada, according to one national poll.
That's pure lie. We're very happy people. Quality of life is really good, so that surprises me.
Everything kind of slows down here. People enjoy life.
You almost never got a traffic jam.
Still, new numbers paint a different picture. In a Leger internet survey of nearly 40,000 Canadians, Islanders rated their happiness an average of 66.5 out of 100, the lowest of any province in the country. By comparison, Quebec leads at 72.4%. And some say behind the postcard image, there are real pressures.
Not a cheap place to live, first groceries and rent and everything, and the income is not as high as other cities.
Crossing the bridge and accessibility towards the metro cities.
Statistics Canada data shows life satisfaction here is in line with the national average, but the survey has sparked a conversation about what well-being really looks like in smaller communities. Psychology professor Michael Arfkin says it taps into what many are feeling, from limited access to family doctors to struggles with work, wages, and stability. Plus, the province's size can be a blessing or a curse.
A lot of people that have grown up on this island feel a sense of connection and a sense of community. On the flip side, if you're new here and if you don't have those established relationships, it can be quite alienating.
For some, gratitude for the simple pleasures goes a long way.
Got up this morning and my feet touched the floor. I knew I was alive and I was going to make the most of the day.
So PEI may have ranked last, but there are quiet signs that joy is all around. Maria Saru, CTV News, Charlottetown.
Still ahead, an ice cream dream come true. How a young entrepreneur wound up serving some sweet treats in a very unusual way. Finally for us tonight, the New Brunswick woman who's bringing a whole new meaning to an ice cream float. And with the scoop, here's CTV's Sarah Plowman.
Her commute to work looks different than most. So does her office. Out on New Brunswick's Kingston Creek, Victoria Tramble specializes in sales. Ice cream sales.
It's a floating ice cream dock, so it's very unique. It has a boat drive-through right here for boats to just pull up.
That's right, a drive-through on the water. Treats like drumsticks, popsicles, and ice cream sandwiches are the draw.
Would like to go for scooped ice cream next year once we're solar powered.
When the sun comes out, so do boaters. On a cloudy weekday like this one, ice cream is a tougher sell. But after lunch, a special customer. Mike Alton started this floating business last year.
This was, just a dream of mine. Always wanted an ice cream shop, really like ice cream. Thought about putting it on the water and it all made sense.
Too busy with his other companies, he didn't want this dream to sink and chose to sell. Tramble scooped it up.
I'm just grateful that I got to be a part of it. I'll tell you, it sure looks sharp now.
Not everybody has a boat to get to the dock, but the owner solved that problem, putting these boats on the beach for people to use for free.
After all, ice cream might taste better on the water.
And everybody that comes by is just like in love with it, really, in love with the idea.
Yeah, and you're still in love with it.
Oh my gosh, yeah, I'll always be in love with it. I don't think I'll ever not love it here.
The 22-year-old became an entrepreneur just as she unexpectedly found herself without a job.
I think that's like a scary reality for a lot of people my age right now. So I kind of found myself like scrambling to find a job and everything, and it kind of just was like perfect. It fell into my lap.
That's pretty sweet. Sarah Plowman, CTV News, Kingston, New Brunswick.
The sweetest job on the lake, indeed. That's it for us. On behalf of Heather and the rest of our CTV crew, thanks for watching. Good night. We hope to see you again tomorrow.